Right everyone, sorry it's been a while. I've been busy and the car's been busy giving me problems. Good video I suppose, because the car's passed its MOT is the big headline of this one, but I've got a few things to run through in terms of things that I've been up to getting the car roadworthy again. I'll quickly try and go through this before I try and get some decent footage. End of the last video I think I finished just by showing that I'd got a new steering wheel. I've since then got a bit of a central boss for the steering wheel, which a friend of mine 3D printed just to tidy that up a bit. But since then I've had a new coil pack fitted. I think it's a NGK unit. Then after that I was pretty confident with it and took it for an MOT, of which it failed. To quickly run through that, the front brakes were binding up, the brakes were fluctuating in use, the position lamps at the rear were affected by the use of some of the other lights, the battery was insecure, and there was a leaking fuel pipe at the rear. They'd also pointed out that the alternator was whining a lot as well, so I had to have a look at that. Repaired all of those issues. I'll insert some footage of the bits that I've replaced, I'm sure. They were all quite straightforward fixes. So new disc and pads for the front, new piece of hose for the rear between the tank and the fuel pump. It was a case of reviewing the wiring on the rear light clusters. It turned out to just be a bit of a grounding issue, but replaced most of the spade bits on there as well. Maybe the most interesting one that they picked up on was the alternator whining. Looking into it, I tried with a new alternator belt, tightening it up, but it always kept slipping back down. Found out that it was the tensioner bolt thread on the end had actually stripped just from it being tightened up over the years so many times. So replaced that bolt with a new one and it's nice and secure and in place now. So after tackling all of those failures on the MOT, I went back and it passed, which was fantastic. Had two minors, one for the front left brake still binding up a bit, but that was my fault for not sort of cleaning up the piston enough, so I've tackled that since, and they've just noted that there's a bit of corrosion on the underside, which I don't disagree with. It's a 40-year-old car, so there you go. Since passing the MOT, I had driven it once or twice, drove it to work once, drove it to get fuel once, and on both occasions sort of got caught out where the car wouldn't start up again, either power issues or the starter motor not engaging or whatever it was very fortunate to sort of nurse it back home again without having to get recovered. And for the last sort of month it's just been sat on the drive waiting to be given some love. As I wasn't sure exactly what the issue was, I ended up buying another new battery, a more powerful one with a longer warranty and all the rest of it, but still had a lot of issues with the starter. And as I'm discovering, most people have a lot of issues with the wiring to the starter motor. So I had mine off again and found that the wiring was a bit of a mess. So there's 3 or 4 wires going from the sort of top of the engine bay down to the starter motor, and the 3 or 4 of mine were all sort of chopped, twist tied onto some new wires, soldered together, covered in electrical tape, and sort of fingers crossed they'd been stuck back in. So I've ripped all them out and replaced them with fresh, and the starter's still just giving me the clunk. So ordered a new starter motor. I'd been waiting 3 weeks for it to be dispatched, got sick of waiting, ordered a new one Thursday this week. It arrived yesterday, Friday, Saturday today. Let's get it fitted. So yeah, sorry for the bit of a ramble at the beginning, but it has been a while, so I just thought it was fair to bring this back up to date. Plan is today, take the old starter motor off, put the new one on, and start driving the car.
3 hours later.
So I've taken off the old starter, fitted the new one, and I've just got it dangling precariously, safety first, on the bottom of the car. I'm just going to turn the key and see what it does. Nice. Right, so with the new starter on, it all is working right. It's starting the engine up. but for whatever reason in the last couple of weeks of it being sat here, it's decided to now cut out every time it gets going again. So I'm going to have to investigate into this, but it's a project, so we'll see how I get on.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Well, another tall tale with this car, fault finding. Had a friend come over and spend an evening because the car just refused to idle. Did some diagnostic work, took the cam cover off, checked all the wiring, checked voltages, checked the intake, checked fuel. Spent a good few hours looking over everything, and the last thought, sort of end of the night, was, oh, let's just check the distributor cap. Did that, and the centre pin in the distributor cap was stuck at the top, almost like the spring wasn't releasing or the mechanism wasn't releasing, and the current was just arcing across and just not going where it should have been going. Thankfully, a very simple fix, so new distributor cap and put a new arm on as well for good measure, and the car's been idling pretty well ever since. Since getting the car idling and running again, I have been driving it a little bit more. Also done a compression test. It is okay. I'll put the results on the screen now so you can see. 1 and 4 are down, but the other 2 are okay, but that's just going to have to be monitored. I'm not looking to do any big engine work anytime soon. I do just want to drive the car, obviously. So yeah, bar the compression, everything else has been alright. I've been driving the car probably about once a week. This whole episode update thing, whatever this is, diary, it's probably been filmed on and off over about 2 months. I don't know how long ago I uploaded the last video, but it's been a while, obviously. I've gone to work in it a few times, quite a lot really. Taken it to see friends and family, been over to the motorist at Sherburn, taken it to Alton Park, which is probably hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes from here. I had some really cool retro styly pictures taken by a friend Liam in the concrete jungle of Halifax, so I'll put a few of those pictures on in this video so you can see. Aside from that, in terms of maintenance, fixing the car, getting it running again, had a look at the instrument lights because they were working initially and then they stopped, and I've basically just got them hooked up to a constant live now, so whenever the key's in the ignition and it's turned on, all the lights come on, which is good enough for me. Also, the heater system wasn't working. It was very intermittent. I think I probably mentioned that in a previous video. Gauge that allows you to change the flow of air, so either high or low, the little contact surface on that has properly worn out, so we've just wired that up to be either on or off. So yeah, I've removed the switch that was controlling the rear wiper motor, and I've got that to be on off now to control the fan switch being on and off, which has been really nice in this recent spate of hot weather we've had. Yeah, as I'd mentioned, I'd driven over to Alton Park, which was a good hour and a half drive, and this was when it was, you know, high 20s, early 30s on a Saturday afternoon, and the temperature gauge did sort of creep up into the top half, and did stop a couple of times just to let it cool down and sort itself out. There was a moment when I'd pulled over and the expansion tank, like release hose I suppose, had just dribbled a little bit of fluid down the front of the radiator, so scared me for about 5 minutes, but it was fine. It was just letting its steam out, I suppose. So yeah, not been completely smooth sailing, but this is the first time it's been back on the road in, I think it is about 1.5 years, 2 years, so I think it's done really well. I am driving it about once a week, as I say. Since getting it back on the road and getting sort of comfortable with it, decided it definitely needs a bit more noise. So I'll be having a look at the exhaust soon and seeing if I can get some more sound out of it, either deleting a muffler or buying something aftermarket. Just get my eye in and see what we can do with it. And then after doing the exhaust, might have a look at shedding a little bit of weight and maybe finding a little bit more power, but that'll come in time, no doubt. For now, I'll put a few pictures of how the car looks at the moment on the screen, just so, again, if I'm treating this as a bit of a diary, I can remind myself as what I was up to with it at the moment. But yeah, no drastic changes as it is now, just learning to drive it, seeing if I like it. and go from there. I'll obviously update with some more videos if anything major comes up down the line, but if you are interested in following the car sort of daily, weekly, ad hoc, whatever, you can follow my Instagram, which I'll put the tag for that on the screen. And yeah, thanks to anyone who's sort of watched this and advised along the way. And yeah, I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. See you next time.